Opening day is just a few days away. But here at 3 Up, 3 Down, we're going to be celebrating opening day with our brand new son, Frederick, the newest addition to 3 Up, 3 Down. But it's time for some World Series predictions, and it's time for Frederick's bedtime. So let's make some predictions. Ready? Let's go. Of course, make sure you comment down below with your predictions. Tell me where you think I'm right. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. I love to hear your opinions. And as always, make sure you are subscribed to 3 Up, 3 Down as we make the push for 1,000 subscribers. Let's check out my predictions for the AL East. And what a division the AL East is going to be. I have the Boston Red Sox winning the AL East this year. I think the injuries to the Yankees is going to catch up. Luis Gil, Garrett Cole, already Clark Schmidt is banged up. DJ LeMahieu. There are a ton of injuries already on this Yankees team, and one big injury from Aaron Judge could throw out the whole season for the Yankees. So I've dropped them all the way down to 4th. My surprise team this year is going to be the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, Tampa Bay moving to that minor league ballpark that's shaped a lot like Yankee Stadium. When Tampa Bay is very, very good, they do two things really well. They strike guys out and they hit home runs. While moving to that smaller minor league ballpark, the home run is back in play for the Rays. Guys like Josh Lowe, Brandon Lau. There's a ton of left-handed thump in this lineup. And the pitching. Shane McClanahan is back. Shane Baz is healthy. Taj Bradley, Drew Rasmussen, Pete Fairbanks in that back end of the bullpen. They're always loading the bullpen. You know Tampa Bay is going to be good. I have them finishing ahead of Baltimore in this division. I'm not a fan of the Orioles starting rotation. I have questions about their bullpen. If Felix Bautista is healthy, that answers some of those questions, but I just don't see any depth in that Baltimore rotation. Even if the young guys in the lineup take a step forward, or in the Adley Rutschman's case, bounce back, it still is not a division-winning team for me, but maybe a playoff team. And as for my Toronto Blue Jays, yes, I have them in the bottom of the division once again. The reason why the Blue Jays have a very difficult start to the season in terms of a schedule. This team needs to come out hot to start the season. If they don't, there's a potential they're going to fall very behind in the division early on in the season. And if they get behind, then the trade rumors of Bo, of Vlad, Chris Bassett, Kevin Gausman, Dalton Varsho, all these guys creeping towards free agency, going to be up in the air. So I think the Blue Jays, if they falter at the beginning of the season, are going to end up trading a bunch of players by deadline time. So I can't really put them as a playoff team based on that prediction. So they go bottom of the AL East. The AL Central is really, really tough to predict because you had three big-time surprises last year in Detroit, Kansas City, and Cleveland, and actually a fourth one in the collapse of the Minnesota Twins at the end of last season. So this is a really, really tough division to predict. I'm going to take the Detroit Tigers to win the division, reason being starting pitching. You've got Tarek Skubal, the AL Cy Young Award winner last year. Jack Flaherty has signed back with the Tigers. Reese Olson looked like a legit starter for them last year. Casey Mize is healthy. There's a good rotation in Detroit, and those young hitters had an opportunity to experience a playoff race and a playoff run. I think they're going to be hungry for more, so I have the Detroit Tigers winning the division, just ahead of the Kansas City Royals. I really like what Kansas City has built here. I love the starting rotation. I think Cole Reagans is an absolute beast combined with Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha. The question is, are they getting enough offense? They're one Bobby Witt injury away from being really, really bad. Can Salvador Perez produce another really good season? Can Vinny Pasquantino stay healthy? Can Jonathan India recapture some of his Rookie of the Year form? Kansas City's got a very interesting team, a very solid team, but I just don't think they're going to be able to compete with Detroit in this division. And that brings me to the Cleveland Guardians, who I expect a big drop-off this season. I just don't see the bullpen producing the same way it did last year. Bullpens are so fickle year to year. They do not stay elite for that long, and Cleveland had the elite of elite bullpens last year and just didn't do anything with it because of the lack of starting pitching. I think their starting pitching will get better. Tanner Bybee, Gavin Williams, they can take a step forward, but they're going to have to take a monstrous step forward because of the losses on offense. You can't just trade away a 100 RBI guy in Josh Naylor and not take a step back offensively. To my mind, there is no protection in this lineup for Jose Ramirez. There's no reason to pitch to him. Steven Kwan is a very nice player. He's going to get on base. He's going to score runs. Jose Ramirez will knock him in here and there, but there's just no protection around it, so I just don't see Cleveland being as effective. And they've been kind of on this good, bad cycle for a little while. Good last year, bad this year. And in Minnesota, starting to feel like they just need an entire reset for the Twins. Royce Lewis is hurt again. Another hamstring injury in spring training. Shocking. How much longer until Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa are also hurt? The Twins keep seeming to going through this phase every single year. Do they have a nice starting rotation? Well, they got 3/5 of a good starting rotation. Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, and Pablo Lopez. Joan Duran in the back end of the bullpen are pretty solid. There's just no depth. And we know if the Twins are completely and totally injury prone, they're going to have their stars get hurt. They're going to miss substantial amounts of time. So I just can't envision Minnesota as a real contender in this division. So I put them in 4th, continuing the collapse from last year. As for the Chicago White Sox, look, Will Venable is going to do his very best to improve this team as the new manager, but it's just lacking in a lot of major league talent. There's a possibility that they are even worse than last year. Do I think that will happen record-wise? No, I think that record-wise they'll take some steps forward. How much longer are guys like Luis Robert and Andrew Vaughn going to be around? There's some pieces that could be traded here as well come deadline time, but eventually the White Sox are going to lose a ton of ball games, and they are going to be completely out of the playoff picture probably by the second day of the season. In the AL West, you're going to see the fall of the Houston Astros. Yes, I have the Texas Rangers winning the AL West by a fairly big margin. I think Texas is one, if not the best team in the AL East. The lineup is absolutely scary, especially if guys can stay healthy. Adolis Garcia can be healthy. Evan Carter can get over those back issues. Josh Jung came back, was very solid at the end of last year after his injuries. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. This is a really, really good team. And if Wyatt Langford continues his production from last September, this is a scary, dangerous team. The bullpen has been remade. We'll have to wait and see to see what it looks like, but I think it's going to be solid enough for them. And the starting rotation, Nathan Eovaldi, John Gray, Jacob deGrom. That is the X factor. If deGrom can stay healthy, this is a top-end rotation. And look for big seasons from the two young guys, Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker. I'm telling you guys, they are going to start playoff games for the Texas Rangers this season. As for the Houston Astros, there's a lot of talent still in Houston. Yordan Alvarez is still a legit MVP candidate. The Jose Altuve experiment, we'll see what happens in left field there. It's kind of patching one hole but creating another hole. I don't really know how this team is going to play out. Christian Walker, Isaac Paredes are nice players on the corner infield. Combined with Yainer Diaz, it's a very good infield. The starting rotation still has a lot of quality to it, but not much depth. Same with the bullpen, very little depth. And that's the big thing in Houston. The loss of talent year after year after year to free agency. They just can't keep up anymore. I think this is the year the Astros falter, finish second in this division. Another big surprise for me is going to be the Athletics. I have them finishing third in this division and 500 baseball. I love the young talent in Sacramento, or whatever we're going to call them. Soderstrom, Langeliers, Butler, Brent Rooker. This is a very solid and very fun offensive team. If Zach Geloff can bounce back, that's another very good offensive player. I think they've got a very, very sneaky good bullpen backed by Mason Miller. I love what they have there. The starting rotation is interesting. Luis Severino is not a 1. He's going to act like one, but they've got a bunch of guys that can be 2s and 3s. Jeffrey Springs could be really, really good. JP Sears could be very good. I really like what the Athletics are building. I think they're going to be a very, very interesting team. I have them surprising in the AL West. And along with the big surprise for me is going to be the Seattle Mariners. You didn't go out and get any bats. There is absolutely no additions offensively. Randy Arozarena has got to have a huge bounce back season. And Julio Rodriguez, it's time for him to be a legit star. The thing is a knock with the Seattle Mariners for me. How often do 5 big end arms and starting rotation last for the entire season? The Mariners went through a little bit of it last year with guys like Brian Wu. Missed some starts, but for the most part, they did not need more than 5 starters all of last season. That's not going to happen 2 years ago. Somebody is going to get knocked around. Somebody is going to get hurt. The Mariners just are not going to be able to compete with this stellar starting rotation, but can it stay healthy 2 years in a row? That's a big, big ask for me. And the offense just cannot back them. So I have the Mariners way down the list here. I just don't think they're going to compete in the AL West, as shocking as that may sound. And lastly, we have the Angels. They've gone out and spent. They've got some veteran players in there to support the young guys. But really realistic, this team needs Mike Trout to have an incredible year and stay healthy. Jorge Soler to have an incredible year. Travis d'Arnaud, Zach Neto, Anthony Rendon is a long gone past now. So there's a lot to build around in LA with the Angels, but they just are not a very good team yet. Tyler Anderson, Yusei Kikuchi make up the nice pieces to a starting rotation, but we just need to see more from them. I think they'll be busy at the deadline moving out some bigger contracts, maybe a guy like Taylor Ward, try to get some young talent back into LA to continue to try and build this team. I actually like that they are competing and spending some money and trying to build the program back up, but it's just going to be a long, long season for the Angels. I have them finishing 5th in the AL West. National League East time, and I have the Phillies winning the NL East. Comes down to starting pitching. The addition of Jesus Luzardo backing up Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez. This is a legit starting rotation. And you even have Taijuan Walker as a 6th guy. The bullpen is still questionable. Yes, I know. The offense is a year older, but I think this is the chance for the Phillies to really make a run. If it doesn't happen this year, I don't think it's going to happen at all. They're starting to age out with some of their big guys in the offense. Kyle Schwarber is a free agent at the end of the year. You've got Nick Castellanos, J.T. Realmuto, Bryce Harper, all a year older. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if the Phillies can put it all together. I think they will because of that starting rotation, and I have them winning the NL East. Coming in second, going to be the Atlanta Braves. Ronald Acuna Jr. missing the first month of the season, and Spencer Strider missing the start of the season as well. That's going to keep them from winning the division. I still think Atlanta, come playoff time, is going to be very, very good. The starting rotation is a little bit younger this year. I don't know what to expect from the back end of the rotation. And can Chris Sale do it again? That's a big question mark. But the big pieces from the offense are healthy again, stepping up in that lineup. Olsen, Riley, Albies, Acuna. They get them all back in the lineup. They're going to be very, very good. But I just don't think they're going to be able to put together enough wins to take over the division because of the start of the season. Coming in third, I have the New York Mets. Yes, I know Juan Soto is a big addition. I know pairing him with Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo. Everybody's raving about the top of this lineup. The problem is the bottom half of the lineup also has to hit, and that's where the depth is going to fall off. I think Mark Vientos is a big-time regression candidate. Francisco Alvarez is already dealing with some injuries. There is some question marks at the bottom of the lineup. Throw in Jeff McNeil into that list as well. And who starts a Game 1 playoff game for the Mets if it was happening today? Kodai Senga? Then you're going Clay Holmes? Like Sean Manaea is hurt. David Peterson, we don't know what we're going to get year to year from him. I just don't like the rotation for the Mets, and there's question marks in the bullpen in terms of depth. So I actually have the Mets falling off, and I'm going to have them missing the playoffs this season. The two teams at the bottom, the young teams, I like what the Nationals are doing. It's going to be really, really fun to watch Dylan Cruz and James Wood progress this season, combining with C.J. Abrams. I like the additions of Josh Bell, Nathaniel Lowe. There's a very good young rotation forming in Washington as well. I'm big on DJ Hurts. If you've checked out some of my other videos, Mackenzie Gore, Josiah Gray is coming back. There's a lot to like in Washington. They're just not going to compete with the top 3 teams. And in Miami, really the question becomes, when does Sandy Alcantara get traded? Because there isn't a lot of really, really talented pieces in Miami. There's some young players that I really, really like. I really like Xavier Edwards. I think Yuri Perez, once healthy, is going to be very, very good. Max Meyer, going to see what comes from him. There's a lot of young talent coming in Miami. Are they going to be able to supplement those young guys with some veteran talent? Probably not going to happen this year. They're going to lose a lot of games this year. They're not going to be very good, but hopefully it's a bit of a building year for the Marlins and their future to come. National League Central time, and I have the Chicago Cubs winning the NL Central. I think Kyle Tucker is a massive addition, and maybe just as big as going to be Ryan Presley at the back of the bullpen. The starting rotation is pretty good for the Cubs. Taillon, Imanaga, Steele. There's a nice looking rotation here. The offense is going to be questionable. I do think Kyle Tucker needs to have a big, big season for this team, and I think he will. Combined with Dansby Swanson, Seiya Suzuki, if he can stay healthy, maybe DH a little bit more. There's a nice looking offense. Maybe Pete Crow Armstrong and Matt Shaw can have a breakout season for as the young Cubs this year. There's a lot that I really like with Chicago. I think they have the best chance of winning this division. We seem to say it every year about the Cubs and they never pull it off, but I think this is a very good season for Chicago, and they are going to win the NL Central. course, I have them winning the NL Central by 1 game over the Cincinnati Reds. I really am excited to see the Cincinnati Reds team this season. Hunter Green established himself as a legitimate ace. Nick Lodolo is healthy. They have a solid rotation. A lot of guys with a lot of experience who aren't very old. And that's the same thing with their offense. Ellie De La Cruz, Spencer Steer, TJ Friedel, Tyler Stevenson, Matt McLean is back. I think he's going to be a real difference maker. Gavin Lux has been added to this. And the biggest piece of all added for me in Cincinnati is Terry Francona. Francona really knows how to run a ball club and get the most out of young talent. So that's the piece that I think really propels the Reds forward. I don't have them winning the division, but I do have them as a very exciting team in the National League. Having a very good season, but coming in third place for me is going to be the Milwaukee Brewers. Look, the nice pieces in the lineup are coming together, but you cannot lose out on Willy Adames. You've lost Devin Williams, your best closer. They have a nice bullpen. They seem to always find a nice bullpen in Milwaukee, a la Tampa Bay. The rotation, who knows what you're going to get. Freddie Peralta has been staying healthy and has been the ace. Brandon Woodruff would be a really nice add if he could get healthy again. DL Hall could really take a step forward. There's some nice pieces in the lineup that could take a step forward as well. I just don't see them overcoming the losses this season, though. Christian Yelich is one bad swing away from being injured, as always, it seems. He had a really nice year last year until the injury. I think there's a lot of very competitive pieces in Milwaukee, but the depth just doesn't feel like it's there this season, so I have the Brewers finishing in third. You guys know I love my Pittsburgh Pirates, but I have the Pirates finishing fourth again in the NL Central. The pitching is really good. Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Jared Jones. I think Bubba Chandler will be up this season and look very impressive as well. But there's just no offense. You're relying on Andrew McCutchen again. I love Kutch. He's one of my favorite players of all time, but you shouldn't be relying on him at this point in time in his career. O'Neal Cruz needs to take a big step forward this season, and maybe moving to center field will really help him there. I love the add of the veteran and Tommy Pham to help out in the lineup. Spencer Horwitz is a nice player at first base when he can get healthy, but there's not a lot of pieces here still offensively for Pittsburgh. Brian Reynolds is a solid player. Brian Hayes needs to get healthy and produce, or he's looking like a bust, but this is a still underwhelming lineup, so I've got the Pirates finishing in fourth. And lastly, it feels really weird to say this, I'm going to have the St. Louis Cardinals in fifth in the NL Central. I don't love their starting rotation. They don't punch anybody out. The back end of the bullpen outside of Ryan Helsley is not very good. Sonny Gray and Helsley feel like trade chips to me. And add in Nolan Arenado to that. Maybe some of these young guys can start to produce consistently. Brendan Donovan had a nice season last season. Maybe Jordan Walker can finally do something. Who knows what he can produce at the major league level. Nolan Gorman needs to get back to 2023 Nolan Gorman. Maybe a position change helps him out a little bit. Maybe a little more DH time. Mason Wynn was a solid player who needs to take another step forward as the shortstop. I just don't love what there is in St. Louis. There's a lot of holes in their lineup. There's a lot of holes in the rotation and bullpen. There's just not the depth. And I think some of that mystique has kind of gone with the losses of Wainwright, Molina, and Pujols the last few years. So I've got the Cardinals rebuilding in fifth. NL West time, and this is easy to start with. It's going to be the Dodgers to win the NL West. The lineup is loaded. The starting rotation is loaded. There's some maybe holes in the bullpen, we could call them. They are maybe one of the deepest teams we have ever seen. I think the Dodgers are going to win a ton of games. Now, the question for LA is going to be, how can they get through this season healthy? That's been the problem the last few years. Yes, they won it last year, but even last year they had injuries that almost derailed their season. That's going to be the goal for manager Dave Roberts. Get this team through the regular season healthy so they are the best team come playoff time. So it's easy choice for me. I have the Dodgers winning the NL West. And actually, it's really easy for me too. I'm going to have the Arizona Diamondbacks finish second. The D-backs have got a really deep starting rotation and very good at the top. Corbin Burns, Zach Gallen, you got Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pfaadt, Jordan Montgomery. I think there's a trade to happen here. Ryan Nelson was probably their best pitcher in the last half of the season last year, and he's probably going to be in the bullpen to start the year. There's some question marks maybe at the back end of the bullpen, but there are some pieces there that I think could be very good. Justin Martinez, AJ Puck. Look for a bounce back from Corbin Carroll. Ketel Marte still keeps doing his things. Josh Naylor can adequately replace Christian Walker, at least offensively, probably not defensively. There's a lot to like about this offense as well. Remember, they scored the most runs in baseball last year. I'm not saying it's happening again this year. They've lost Jock Peterson as part of this as well, but I still think they're going to be a very, very good offensive team because they're a very dynamic offensive team, the ability to run and steal bases. So I think the D-backs are going to give a little bit of run to the Dodgers maybe at times through the season, but they're going to safely finish second in this division. Coming in third for me is going to be the San Francisco Giants. This is going to surprise a lot of people. I really like the Giants' rotation. Logan Webb, Robbie Ray is healthy. Add in Justin Verlander, Kyle Harrison. There's some nice pieces in the rotation in San Francisco. This is more about the Giants maybe not collapsing, the reason why they're going to finish third as opposed to my fourth place team. The offense is still not great. Matt Chapman's going to have a really good year. Willy Adames is going to help him out, provide some solid defense on the left side of the infield as well. They need some younger guys to step forward. They can really afford to add a big piece. I like Patrick Bailey as their catcher and kind of a leader of this team. I know Buster Posey is trying to really push some big tickets here, but I think the Giants are still going to finish third in this division. I know a lot of people will have them fourth. And my fourth place team is going to be the San Diego Padres. And the reason being, there's still so many trade rumors around the Padres. If Dylan Cease gets traded, I think there's a couple other guys going to be following him out the door. It's really, really sad that the team's going through so much turmoil because of family issues over ownership. I think this is a big thing that could derail the Padres season, especially if they don't get off to a good start. They need to shed some payroll, or so ownership thinks. And if that's the case, a poor start this season could really derail the Padres before you even get started, which is too bad. I think this is a very, very good team. I think this team has a legitimate chance of finishing second in the division, but if they don't get off to a good start, I think this is what could happen, and the Padres finish fourth. Michael King is a nice piece. Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr. are very good offensive players. There's a lot to like in San Diego, but I just don't know if it's going to happen if there's a poor start. And that, of course, brings us to number 5 team, going to be the Colorado Rockies. I mean, what can we say at the Rockies at this point? They just don't seem to be competitive anytime. They've got some young pieces that seem to get to AAA and then just fizzle out at the major league level. Chase Dollander is another nice player who's coming up as a starter. I'm really excited to see what he can do in Colorado. Maybe he's that type who can finally break through as a solid starting pitcher with the Rockies. Maybe Ezekiel Tovar takes another big step forward. Ryan McMahon is still a very solid player for the Rockies. And who knows, maybe even Chris Bryant can find some talent that he left behind in Chicago. This is a very poor team, very poorly organized. I really wish that they could put a better product on the field. It's time for some of these young Rocky players to take a step forward in their development. We'll see if it can happen in 2025. So there you have it. There are my playoff teams. Last year I got 7 of 12 right, hoping to get all 12 this season. Texas as the 1 seed in the AL. Boston, Detroit as the division winners. Tampa, Baltimore, Kansas City to fall behind them in the wild card. In the National League, the Dodgers is the 1. Phillies is the 2. Cubs is a 3, D-backs 4, Braves 5, Reds 6. Now this is very important because of seeding, because I have Texas playing the winner then of Tampa Bay and Baltimore. I have Tampa Bay beating Baltimore, Texas winning that, going to the ALCS. The other series then you have Detroit over Kansas City, the winner playing Boston. Boston wins that. So I have Texas and Boston in my ALCS. So in the National League, I would have the number 4 and 5 Braves matching up. I have the D-backs beating the Braves in the 4-5 series, and the Reds beating the Cubs in the 3-6. Now this is very important because that would give Arizona the shot in the division series at the Dodgers. And we haven't had a repeat winner win the World Series since 2000. The Yankees of 98, 99, 2000 is the last repeat winner. So I have the D-backs beating the Dodgers, and I also have the Phillies then beating the Reds. That sets up a 2023 rematch between Arizona and Philadelphia in the NLCS. That brings me to my World Series. I have Texas and Philadelphia featuring in the best of 7 for my World Series. And the winner of the 2025 World Series is the Philadelphia Phillies. Yes, I have the Phillies winning the 2025 World Series. I really, really like the rotation. I think this is the last chance for this lineup. They have to do it this year, and I think they're going to get the job done. Bryce Harper is going to get his title. I think they're going to add a bunch at the deadline to their bullpen once again. Dave Dombrowski is the perfect GM from this. Forget all the young talent that's in the system. It's time to move heaven and earth to win the World Series this season. Otherwise, I think that Phillies start to age out. So there you have it, my 2025 World Series champions, Philadelphia Phillies. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of another 3 Up, 3 Down prediction video. I greatly appreciate all your guys' support. Make sure you're commenting down below who you think is going to win the World Series. As always, make sure you are subscribed to 3 Up, 3 Down as we make the push for 1,000 subscribers. Greatly appreciate all the support of all of you that are already subscribed. Thank you so much. Until next time, take care, everyone.